I was building my first internet business before I even knew that I would have an internet business. I was basically a one-man publishing house. I came up with the idea for writing, designing, and publishing a software review magazine in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This is because I was so into computer software. Being a complete and total nerd, I loved especially computer games. I mean, like many of you, I came up on pinball and then Pong and Space Invaders and Defender and all of the early computer games that came out. And I'm really curious, what was your favorite vintage computer game? The oldest thing you can remember, even if you're newer to this, what was your go-to computer game? In fact, I used to love going to Soft Warehouse in Dallas because they had a whole wall full of boxed software. Now, if you walk into a Best Buy or something like that, there's a small little area with boxes and it's only the top, software that's available because so much is digital. But back then, everything came on floppy disks. This is even before CD-ROMs and DVDs. It all came on floppy disk and it came in these big, beautiful, colorful boxes. And inside the boxes, not only would there be disks, but there would be full color manuals and there would be extras such as clue sheets and maps and guides. It was the golden age of computer gaming software, even though it was a lot more primitive than what we have now. So I remember reading a computer game magazine and thinking to myself, I bet the people who write these articles for this magazine get all the free software that they want. And then I said to myself, you understand sales. You know how to use Aldus PageMaker. This is before Adobe brought it under its fold. Because I was designing a newsletter for our local church there in Plano, Texas. This is 1994. And I wrote myself a little script that I would use to contact the software companies. And so I would track down the phone numbers, and there was a lot of software companies back then, a lot of them. I mean, today it's consolidated and you've got a few biggies, Ubisoft, Electronic Arts, Activision, Blizzard. But back then, there were dozens of them. A lot of people were trying to get into the game by making games, educational software, and early multimedia. And so I wrote a little script and it went something like, "Hi, my name is Joel Comm. I'm the editor-in-chief at the Dallas-Fort Worth Software Review. We are reviewing games for the publication, blah, 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 blah." And it didn't take me long before I realized they so wanted to get software into my hands. I threw away the script and I just said, "Hey, I'm reviewing software for this publication to be distributed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area." And they would send me software. In fact, the more calls I made, the more software I received. And it became like Christmas at my house every day. Software was coming in boxes via the Postal Service, via UPS, via DHL, via FedEx, via foreign services that I don't even know what they were. And this stuff was showing up. And I was like, holy cow, how am I going to manage this? Because I've got to do something with this. And so I went on to my America Online account, because this is before it was AOL. And I put an ad out there that said, "Looking for writers to review software. Can't compensate you with money," because I didn't have any. I was working as a DJ, and that was, a part-time deal, doing my own gigs. And I was working at the church, helping design the newsletter. And I got all of these people that are like, "Yeah, I'll review software." And I started building a catalog of people, and I would send software to them. I would pay to ship it to them. And in exchange for the review, they would get to keep the software, whatever I sent them. And so I took the reviews that I received, sat down with Aldus PageMaker, and laid out and designed, I think it was a 16-page publication that I created. I got I think it was Creative Labs that made the Sound Blaster audio cards. I got them to sponsor, and basically a sponsorship meant they sent me a free sound card and I put them on the back cover. And then I went to the copy shop and I printed out 1,000 copies of this thing and had it collated and stapled. And then my friend David Lester, I'll tag you here, Davey, helped me. He took stacks of them and we took them to local computer stores and software places and handed them out, put them, say, hey, these are free, put them on the counter for whoever wanted to pick them up. And that was that was my first publication. Now, there's some interesting takeaways from this. I think one of the coolest is that I didn't have everything I needed to create this. I knew I needed writers to help me review the software. And so I recruited people essentially for free, sending them software that I got for free. And they, in exchange, gave me their writing and their work and their take on the software. This continued for years. I want to say into about 1999. And I'll tell you about that more as I get into building my first website, worldvillage.com, to come in a future video. So the other thing is that we used grassroots distribution. I didn't have a channel for mailing these out to anybody. And so I thought, where are the interested readers going to be? Well, they're going to be in local computer stores. And so recruiting my friend Davey, we distributed them to local stores. Now, we didn't make any money from that, but what I was doing was I was living out a passion. I was so into computer games. Honestly, the thousands of dollars in software was sent to me. And my wife at that time would not have been happy if I had spent all that money on on computer games. And this was a real awakening for me because even though I had a DJ business and I was doing wedding receptions and bar mitzvahs and pool parties and class reunions, this was the first time that I actually created a product and put it out there into the world. And somewhere, I know that in my stash, I still have a copy of the Dallas Fort Worth software review. And if I find it somewhere, I'll bring it and show it to you on a future video. But what happened next was really interesting because a friend of mine at that time was a coder. And he came to me and we became friends. And he came to me and he said, what if we took this publication and we turned it into a disk-based publication? Basically, he would code it in Visual Basic and we would put it on a 3.5-inch floppy and hand out these floppy disks to people. And so that's what we did. He coded it. I kept getting reviews from the writers. I kept getting software. Oh my gosh, it piled up so much in my house. And we put together a magazine on disk, and you needed a password to unlock it. And we took it to the 1995 Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas in January of that year. And we handed them out to various vendors there that we thought would be interested. And we discovered something that would forever change the course of my life. Although I had been online for now 15 years, going back to 1980 with BBSs and then forwarding through America Online, CompuServe, Prodigy, and so forth. It was at that Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas in January 1995 that I really discovered the World Wide Web. And that set the trajectory for what comes next. Would love to hear how you discovered the internet and the power of the web, and if you had a business online when you started it, because I'm going to go into that in the next video. Please do subscribe, ring the bell, leave your comments. I do respond to every single one of them, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Have a great day.